Our first question, 1 plus 1. Yes.
2.
Incorrect. Yes.
Multiculturalism.
Well done, Simon. Next question, what is 3 times 3? Yes?
9.
Wrong. Yes, Penelope.
Gender equality.
Very good, Penelope.
Is this a joke?
You think gender equality is a joke?
No, but isn't this a maths class?
Don't be so racist.
I just asked a question.
We don't ask questions. Questions are offensive.
Yeah! Let me see this. They've just written equality and drawn love hearts on a piece of paper.
He expressed himself and it's beautiful.
He didn't even spell equality correctly.
We don't discriminate.
This has nothing to do with mathematics.
You think you're so great with your maths and your science and your facts. What about feelings, huh?
Yeah. Feelings are more important than facts.
This is wrong. You're all crazy.
Stop violating me with your different opinions.
I have the right to speak my mind.
No, we have the right not to be offended.
And that's more important.
So we've got to talk about the Department of Education. And I've got a couple videos I want to show you guys. But before we get into that, so you guys can understand how crazy this thing has gotten out of control, I want to show you guys a couple of things. Here's a chart here that is tracking a few things from 1970 to about 2010. Okay, this blue line is the total cost, okay, for public schools since 1970. Obviously, that blue line is just straight up. I mean, it's risen exponentially. And down here, the red line, the green line, and the purple line are all test scores. So while costs have gone up, test scores have done absolutely nothing. But we've continued to hire more employees, even while, and if you could see this gray dash line, that is total enrollment. So if you look here, between like the late 70s and early 90s, enrollment was dropping. But did employment drop? No, employment kept going up, and we continued to spend more and more money, which doesn't make any sense, especially when you look at the test scores, because they haven't gone up either. Now I want to show you guys this other chart. Not a single student can read at grade level in 30 Illinois schools. Here's 30 Illinois schools. And here is how many students read at grade level. It's over here on the right-hand side. Not a single one. Not a single one. None. But if we took our advice from Democrats, we should just continue to spend more and more money on this issue. I think it's time to change things up, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing but expecting a different result. I think it's time to close down the Department of Education, and so does Trump.
I want to ask you about the Department of Education. States, as everyone I think knows, provide the majority of the funding and oversight for your local schools. But Kentucky, when we looked at the numbers, gets the 4th most federal education funding per student of any state in this country. You have over 900 schools that have these Title I programs, which are low-income schools who need that federal subsidy to continue to operate. How are schools going to get that money if the president closes the education department?
I think the bigger question, if we're sending all this money to Kentucky and all the other states, why are our scores abysmal? Why do 2/3 of the kids not read at proficiency? Why do 2/3 of the kids or more not have math proficiency? So
Isn't that up to the
utter
state?
failure. What I'd like to, let me finish. I'd leave it back to the states. It has always been a position, a very mainstream Republican position, to have control of the schools by the states, send the money back to the states, or better yet, never take it from the states.
Yep.
About half of our budget in Kentucky goes to education, and that's the same in a lot of states. I think we can handle it much better. When I talk to teachers, they chafe at the national mandates on testing they think are not appropriate for their kids. They think they waste too much time teaching
Right.
to national testing. The teachers would like more autonomy, and I think the teachers deserve more autonomy.
But when we looked at the budget in Kentucky, the state receives $2 billion in federal education funding. Do you have a guarantee that the federal government, federal taxpayers will still provide $2 billion in education funding? That seems important to your state.
I'd rather, well, no, what I'd rather is a guarantee that my kids can read and write and do math. The amount of dollars,
Boom.
look, the number of dollars has gone up exponentially and our scores have gone the other way. So dollars are not proportional to educational success. What I want is success. And I've talked a lot about this. I think there are innovations we can do where there's more learning via some of the best teachers and we pay them more. I would like to have an NBA or NFL of teachers, the most extraordinary teachers, teach the entire country.
Who would run that? The education department?
And some of them, no, what you'd find is they'd be selected out, state by state, across the nation. Look, people say, oh, with the Department of Education would have no testing. I was in school before then. We did achievement tests in the 6th grade, the 5th grade, the 8th grade, and we compared ourselves across state lines. There were international testing.
Yeah.
You don't need the Department of Education for any of that. But what I can tell you is the best teacher in the world is not teaching the kids.
Yeah.
What we need to do is have the best teachers and pay them more, but they wouldn't teach 30 kids. They might teach 10 million kids at a time because it would be presented through the internet with local teachers reinforcing the lessons.
Well, I'm sure.
That's an interesting way to do things. Really shake things up, you know? Really shake things up. But like I said, of course, mainstream media is running their propagandist campaign. Everything that Trump does is a horrible, terrible, no good, very bad idea. Here's a clip of Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, or isn't that what Trump calls her, Pocahontas? Or no, I don't remember. Anyway, here it is.
For every public school teacher, every public school librarian, every administrator, every school bus driver, everybody who helps educate our kids, you need to know this is the moment we got to stick together and we got to fight back. I don't care if you are a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a libertarian, a vegetarian, we need you in this fight. This is the fight for an America where it's not just rich kids who get an education and have a chance to build something with their lives, but that every kid in America gets the best education they can so they can build the best lives. But the only way that's going to happen is if we stay in this fight. It is a fight we can win. For every
I love how she says, not just the rich kids, considering the fact that she's rich. But anyway, here's a clip of Dana Bash as well, who actually contradicted herself. Because she tries to make an argument that the Department of Education shouldn't be shut down. But while she's trying to make that argument, she actually makes the argument that it should be shut down. Check it out.
There's lots of data that shows that, I think, to put it mildly, education could be better in America.
Absolutely.
But you also just admitted, and it's just fact, that most of the funding, most of all of the curriculum, and everything that goes into educating our students happens on a local level. So I'm not quite sure how eliminating the Department of Education is going to make those test scores go up. There's lots.
So if everything is done on a local level, why do we need the Department of Education? I don't even think she realized what she said. I genuinely don't. I don't think she realized what she said. But what all of this is doing is creating this false panic, right, amongst these leftists. And I'm going to show you a clip of a chick here in a second. And I got another clip as well, so stick around. But what this is doing is really messing up people, because this narrative is being pushed that Republicans are shutting everything down and the kids that needed help are no longer going to be receiving help. They're all stranded. They're all out on their own. Like the kids who got meals from schools, you know, that school program, it's no longer going to be there. And in reality, none of that is true. But what mainstream media, people like Dana Bash, people like Elizabeth Warren and the likes, they're making people, at least on the left, do this.
So I just need to know from all the MAGAs out there, do you guys, like, you don't care about federal aid for students? You don't care about college? Like, you really don't care if the kids can apply to go to college? Like, if student aid is being taken, if the Department of Education is being shut down, then what happens to FAFSA? Like, what happens to the website for all of the students to go and apply for student aid? You guys really don't care about that? Like, you really, like, don't give a shit about that? Because we have kids graduating in, like, 3 months. They are applying for college right now. Like, what?
I'm sorry, but it's just ridiculous because even a high schooler, and this is a clip of a high schooler I'm about to show you guys, can debunk all of this. None of what she was just saying is true. All of this fear-mongering is just that. It's fear-mongering. These programs are just being moved to other agencies that are a lot more proficient at it. Check it out.
Hey guys, I'm a high school student and I'm going to be debunking rumors about Donald Trump abolishing the Department of Education. Let's break this into 3 categories: free lunch, special education, and grants. To start off, it is rumored students will be losing their free lunch. Free lunch is provided by the Department of Agriculture, not the Department of Education. So abolishing the Department of Education will not impact students' free lunch whatsoever. Let's move into talking about special education. Many parents are rightfully concerned about special education students losing their IEPs, but I'm here to tell you there's no need to be concerned. What President Donald Trump is doing is moving special education, IEPs, early intervention, and special education grants into a different department. So it is being moved from the Department of Education to the Department of Human Services. It is not being abolished, it is not being removed. So, with this being said, removing the Department of Education will not affect special needs kids or their IEPs at all. Lastly, let's discuss grants. Many people are afraid that their grants are being taken away and that they'll have to pay for college out of pocket. But I'm here to tell you, federal grants are not being removed as the DOE is being removed. Federal grants are simply going to be moving from the Department of Education to the Department of Treasury. The grants will not be lost in any way, shape, or form. They will simply just be transferred from one department to another. A specific grant that people are concerned about is the Health Education Assistance Loan. And I'm here to tell you guys that this loan is not being deleted or removed in any way, shape, or form. The loan is simply being transferred from the Department of Education to the Department of Treasury. So, people who are using these grants for medicine, pharmacy, veterinary, and dentistry will still have access to these grants. They would just be ran by the Department of Treasury instead. This just goes to show that abolishing the Department of Education will not affect special needs kids, it would not affect free school lunch, and it would not affect grants, because all of these programs will simply just be moved from one department to another. That's all for today's video. Follow my channel to be informed on more political updates. Have a great day and stay educated.
Hey, shout out to her, man. Shout out to her. Standard report. I love it. I love it. A high school student could break that down. High school student. High school student could debunk mainstream media. I love it. 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 Shout out to her, man. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. We need more people to stand up and debunk all of this nonsense that mainstream media is spewing. You know, it's shameful when you have to push back against our own mainstream media that's on television. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. They know this stuff, but they choose not to report on it. They choose not to report on it. It's absolutely crazy. But hey, debunked once again. Mainstream media down the toilet. Exactly where they need to go, quite frankly. But as always, let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Thanks for tuning in. Share this video, as a matter of fact, so everybody in America can see that what we're hearing from mainstream media, what we're hearing from the Democrat Party is nothing but fear-mongering. It's nothing but fear-mongering. We don't need the Department of Education. There's a lot of other agencies that can do the same thing that the Department of Education was doing, and none of these important programs are being shut down. And you just heard it there from that young lady there. So don't believe anything the mainstream media is saying, as well as what these Democrats are out here pushing like Elizabeth Warren. So make sure you guys share this video clip for anyone who may be concerned. Thanks for tuning in as always. Peace and love. I'm out.